we've been talking about rates a lot over the last several weeks. How about this rate? The bank rate, 30-year fixed mortgage, 8.04%. Are you kidding me? Crazy. I feel like a rock star now with my 6% mortgage I got earlier in the year. We also had new home sales today. They don't care about the rates, up 12.3%. After a decline last month of 8.2%, so kind of all over the place. Let's figure out what's happening in the residential real estate market. We do that with Kate Kaminski. She's the COO of Walton Global. Kate, give us just kind of an overview here. It seems like with mortgage rates this high, who can afford to buy a house these days?
Well, thanks for having me on, gentlemen. Excited to be joining you here and talking about this today. That really is the question. Who can afford to get into homes with rates at where they're at, up 5 basis points from a week ago, and we don't necessarily see the light at the end of the tunnel yet. But I think the stats that you just referenced, the 12.3% that we're seeing up in September, we're really bullish on new home sales and production right now. You're seeing new home builders that represent about 35 to 40% of today's new home sales, which is up from 15 to 18% before. And we're attributing that primarily to these new home builders very aggressively buying down mortgages for these buyers. The typical consumer is they feel that 5% is about the average mortgage rate that they should be paying, and these new home builders are putting in programs whereby they're getting those new buyers down from 8% to 5% through different mechanisms of rate buy downs.
So how does this work out, Kate? I mean, what do you do at Walton Global, and what is your expectation for Q4 and 2024?
Yeah, so we're a global real estate investment and asset management firm, and we specialize in land. We're looking to buy land that's in the path of growth, that is primarily intended for sale to new home builders. And so we're a pretty critical part of the supply chain, we believe, in the new home building space, because we're selling to these builders who are really focused on that first-time home buyer. And so Walton creates pretty creative financing mechanisms, off-balance sheet financing mechanisms for these home builders who are looking for ways to keep as much cash on hand, keep their margins high so that they can do things like these rate buy down programs and deploy their excess capital, which these home builders have a lot of that right now. They've been waiting for this opportunity to expand their market share.
But
like I said,
sorry, forgive me because I don't understand the ins and outs of this business so well, but these new home builders are subsidizing mortgages for buyers because rates are too high, and you are subsidizing the loans to these new home builders to get your land because the rates are so high. Like, at some point the buck's got to stop, right?
Well, we think that it's going to continue on. We think we have a few more years of this. And
I just mean somebody at the end of the day has got to pay for it, right? So, you can't continue to find creative financing solutions. Like, at some point, it's got to get paid for. So how does that all? It's like a house of cards.
Yep. Well, we're definitely seeing the increased price of resale homes, which is why, again, we're focused on that new home build market. I was just traveling in Florida last week, and there are still places where we have new communities that are going up, being built by the public builders, and there's homes in there selling for $200,000 and under in some instances. And so I think that drive to affordability is critical. We need to be focusing on that right across the country, so that we're matching the home buyer with what they're earning and what they can afford. And so, we've got a real lockup in the resale market right now because we've continued to see the value of those homes increase, and that's just not sustainable. I completely agree with you. But so that's why we continue to think that the new home building space is going to be where these buyers are fleeing to. We have a fundamental undersupply of homes in this country. Depending on what economist you speak to, it's between 2 and 6 million homes that we need to build because of the underbuilding that was occurring after the Great Recession. And so, these new home builders are where the affordability lies.
So when you're out there these days, what's the cost of land that you guys are looking at? What's the deal? What's the deals you're looking at today versus maybe 4 or 5 years ago in terms of acquiring land?
Yeah, that really is specific to every market that we're in. We are looking for land that has is in a development friendly municipality or county. That continues to be one of the biggest challenges that we're seeing across the country as well. These areas where growth is coming, not wanting to accept this growth and provide the necessary approvals. But that's where the opportunity lies. And so we focus on areas where there's access to infrastructure, and we've really got pro-growth governments in and around the area that are going to help get these off the ground. So there's not a specific price per acre that we're focusing on, because that varies by state and per region. But we really focus here at Walton in the Sun Belt, the southern smile of the U.S.
Yep.
Because of those major market trends that we follow: job growth, population growth, net domestic migration. It's a pretty simple equation. And that has been our model for the last 45 years that we've been doing this.
Who do you compete against? Because we've heard this same strategy on the real estate side from basically everybody in the home building food chain. So it's got to be competitive when a parcel of property comes up in suburban Dallas or suburban Austin or suburban Tampa. I got to think 10 of the smartest and most well capitalized people are in there trying to get that land. How competitive is your market?
So it's definitely a competitive marketplace, but where I would say Walton's niche is that we're buying land that's a little bit earlier in the cycle. Most of your builders today, because of what happened after the Great Recession and the long duration that it took for everything to normalize, they all have pressures from Wall Street to keep land off their balance sheets. And so they're looking for land that they can be building and selling homes within 24 months. And so they're compressed on what assets they can actually purchase. And even many of the land bankers and groups that they work with, they have a pretty short time horizon for when that land needs to be cash flowing, aka homes being built and sold to third parties. Where Walton comes into play is we have a little bit more patient capital, not too patient, but a little bit more, where we'll buy land that is a little bit earlier in the cycle, and we'll hold it while that home builder is doing the entitlement work, getting it ready to literally stick a shovel in the ground. And that's the time when we'll transfer the land to them. So it's pretty unique in that space, and where we find the opportunities.
All right, Kate, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Talking about some of that commercial real estate development. Kate Kaminski, COO of Walton Global.
Why don't we live in the Sun Belt?
Yeah, I know. I did for a while. It's great.
I love it down there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love to go to Phoenix.
Yep.
I love Scottsdale.
Love
that whole
Scottsdale.
area.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, the Sun Devils had a great football team.
Not so much.
Remember Jay Plummer?
Yeah.
What happened to that guy?
I don't know.
What happened to their?
Now when I
they're
see
12th
Arizona,
in the Pac-12 now.
I see Arizona State. I think Bobby Hurley, the greatest point guard in college of all time, at Duke and Jersey City. He's now the coach of Arizona State. Let's head down to Washington, D.C. We'll get world and national news, and we'll do that with Nancy Lyons.